My son is really upset. Well, too bad. The cat is going to an indoor-only home, and it's not yours, by user Princess Elvida. We've been trying to rehome a friendly stray cat to an indoor-only home due to safety concerns, coyotes, busy roads, and a highway. A neighbor showed interest but kept bringing up how her 2-year-old is attached to the cat while refusing to commit to keeping him indoors. When I explained the cat needed to stay indoors, she said things like, I kept telling her the cat needed to be indoor only, but she wouldn't commit and was incredibly pushy, so I reluctantly gave in. After spotting more coyotes around, I had a change of heart and decided to rehome the cat with someone who would actually keep him safe. When I told her, she completely lost it. I don't give a flying fuck about her 2-year-old son's attachment to the stray cat. This neighbor is fucking exhausting. Edit. Great news. The cat is going to be placed in a cage-free rescue at the end of December. 2 hearts. I responded with the following and then she blocked me. LOL. We asked multiple times if you'd commit to keeping the cat indoors only, and you didn't as shown in the screenshot. You implied he'd be indoor/outdoor, which isn't safe with coyote sightings. Transitioning a stray to indoor only requires dedication. This decision was about the cat's safety, not your toddler's attachment. Also, when we were initially talking, nobody was in possession of the cat. The entitled parent/neighbor said regardless, they were going to let the cat into their home. I ended up finding and housing the cat first. The coyotes were recent, after the initial convo, and we did try to reach out to see if they changed their mind on the indoor/outdoor situation, but they didn't. Family brought a baby and young kid to theater, by user Savage Lee Zossi. I'm excited to watch Wicked with my friends, and we go to a 7:30 p.m. showing. A family ends up sitting next to me, with the grandma closest to me. I see that a mom is struggling with a stroller up the stairs. Uh-oh. If you planned on watching a movie with your kids and one of them is in a stroller, why didn't you get a seat on the main floor? Okay, but a kid that young isn't even going to remember the movie. But there is also what looks to be a 4-year-old in tow. He's getting up a lot during the movie and playing with the recliner buttons, which aren't exactly quiet. Then the baby babbled a lot, which usually I'm patient with because I have 2 of my own, and I used to work in childcare, but I realize not everyone is. Also, everyone at the movie paid to hear Wicked, not a baby babbling. It took too long for them to leave. They left like 2 hours into a 3-hour-long movie. If a kid can't sit still for 3 hours, don't bring them to a 3-hour-long movie. Simple as that. Entitled mother tried to take her son's car away, blamed his girlfriend when he pushed her out of his life, by user player Tsura Start. For context, I'm 22M, the oldest son of our mother, with 2 brothers, 18, 13. We each have different fathers, and though I mostly lived with my paternal grandparents growing up, my brothers both lived with her. The story I'm gonna tell will be about the 18-year-old, who I'll call Jay for simplicity. Now our relationship with our mother has been strenuous at times, and it's become ever increasingly clear she's far from a saint. When she was with Jay's father, my aforementioned grandparents took note of the fact that I vehemently refused to go back to her house after visiting them. They told me they had to physically pry me away in order to get me to go, which they had to do legally. I lived with her then. One day, I went to visit them and they noticed I had suspicious bruises on my body. Both my mother and Jay's father claimed it was from me playing rough with a dog. When they took me to a doctor to check it out, the doctor told them they could have only been caused by physical abuse, which is what led me to living with my grandparents. I didn't remember any of this, but had it explained to me much later when I was in high school, and made a lot of sense since when I was younger, I would frequently flinch whenever people, such as my father, raised their hands for any reason. Now, it had been years since that happened, so I didn't hold any ill will towards her for it, figuring she was just as much a victim of it, until one day she brought it up and revealed she still truly believed it was the dog. There was also her battle with alcoholism. I don't want to get too into it, given it's something she's gotten fixed, and I think it would be untactful to make fun of what was clearly a low point in her life. That said, I think it's important to note because it caused her to get into a lot of fights with our stepdad at the time, the father of the 13-year-old. Because I didn't live there, I only saw bits and pieces, but as you can imagine, my brothers had to live with it. With all of that said, the story this post is supposed to be about happened April, the week of the eclipse. I was visiting for the week, and my mother had Jay take her car to come pick me up. Things were going fine for the first day or so, then it happened. Jay and his girlfriend were both at work, while our mom was asleep. She worked the night shift, so I was in the living room watching YouTube or something. She came out of her room, where she told me she was mad at Jay, before she went back to sleep. Apparently, he was supposed to refill the gas after he picked me up, and he forgot to. I didn't think much of it at the time. He made a mistake, she'd probably call him out on it, and that would be that. Later, when Jay got back home, we went out to his girlfriend's place to watch the eclipse. Then suddenly, I got a call from my mother, asking to talk to Jay. I handed the phone over. I could hear my mother screaming from across the driveway, while Jay, with the patience of a saint, tried to explain that he had made a mistake and apologized. And as if flying off the handle at him wasn't bad enough, she told him she was going to take his car away. Which, you know, he needed to get to work. Mind you, she had given him the car not long before, but even so that's still a majorly dick move, and illegal I'm certain. And also, she was mad because she had to visit the gas station before work, but as far as I know, she wasn't even late to work, she was just in a rush. She made it on time. And yet she was insistent that he had somehow fucked him over. Jay, in a voice that made it clear this was far from the first time something like this had happened, told her in no uncertain terms that he was done dealing with her and was leaving. And indeed, when we got back, he immediately started packing up his things to go and live with his girlfriend, where he still lives today. While that was happening, she said that she wanted to go talk to Jay in private. I was, foolishly, hoping this would be her admitting to going too far and apologizing. And though I wasn't privy to the conversation, she at least had the tact to not start yelling at him again. I feel confident that that wasn't the case. Once all was said and done and Jay was out of the house, she walked into the living room on the phone with Jay's girlfriend, evidently trying to get her to let her talk to him, but she wasn't letting her. At which point she started hurling insults at the poor girl, calling her a whore who was stealing him away from her. This grown-ass, 40-year-old woman was yelling at a girl half her age because she wouldn't let her boyfriend's abusive mom speak to him. So, fast forward to today. From how I understand, Jay still refuses to speak to her, and good for him because he's braver than me. Unfortunately, I'm too afraid of conflict to be able to take a firm stance against her. I even went with her to Thanksgiving the other week just for the sake of not rocking the boat. That said, I have distanced her otherwise. I haven't visited her other than for Thanksgiving, and I've made it a point to not speak to her unless she contacts me first. Still, I know that I'm being too easy on her for what she did. I'm hoping the next time something like this happens, cause I just know it will, I'll have the balls to cut her off properly. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Entitled Mother Steals from a Child with Cancer, by user Lao by9129. I know the title sounds bad because it is. My mother is not a very nice person just to say the least. She is a lazy person who doesn't like to work and can never stay in one job or one house or keep one car. She is habitually homeless. Thankfully, I live with my dad now, but I still had to live with her for 14 years and deal with the crap that she put me through. Here are some of her scams that she has pulled. When I was 6, she made me do Shave for the Brave and raise money for a kid who had cancer. She raised over $500 on Facebook for this kid and his family. She kept all the money from the fundraiser. Also, for anyone who is wondering, the kid is someone who I knew as a baby. Thankfully, he is okay and recovered from the cancer. The last time I spoke to him was a few years ago and he was doing great. She organized a basketball camp in our hometown for kids, took registration fees from parents, then cancelled the event and kept all the money, leaving 20 to 30 people without the $200. When she faced backlash, she used that money to take her and her friend to Las Vegas for a month where she drank and played casino. She kept asking for money from my grandparents, and when they cut her off, she threatened to keep me and my sisters from them unless they gave her money. She stole $400 out of my wallet for groceries. The money was my birthday money from various family members. She said it was for groceries when I noticed it was missing. There were no groceries, but there was a good few bottles of wine that she spent the next few days drinking in the garage. She would call into restaurants like McDonald's and say that she had her order wrong when she didn't order anything just to go back and get a free meal. So that sums her up as a person. And then she wonders why I don't talk to her. I almost cried, by user OurEntrance7202. I almost cried baking cookies with my boyfriend's mom. She asked me questions like, "Did your mom teach you this?" etc. and was so kind and nice. My mother would scream at us a lot as kids and not want us in the kitchen. I just wanted a mother who spoke to me calmly and didn't snap so much. I wish my family was nice to me. When I watch how my boyfriend's mom is with him, I just don't get it. I don't understand it. My therapist calls my family chaos and that I grew up in chaos. Why couldn't I have a calm family who treated me like a human?